Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the Zoom right now. We have Angela Stanton King. Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. Because of abortion, this is my thing. Roe v. Wade was passed off of a lie. As of right now, where we are, we're always crying about being an oppressed minority, but we are always going to be an oppressed minority if we continue to abort our offspring. Abortion is the biggest genocide against Black America. They strategically place their abortion clinics in our neighborhoods, and just about every time you hear a Democratic candidate go on stage, the first thing they say is Black women need access to abortion. So if we really want to restore the value to our own lives, if we really want
it's a
to
woman's
say,
right, though, a woman's right for abortion.
I just want to.
If a girl, like let's say a 16-year-old girl was raped, or somebody was raped and they're pregnant, and they don't want to have that child, they don't want to have that experience. You don't feel like it's a woman's right to have an abortion?
so they talk about women's rights and women's choice. We need to first figure out why the government gave us a choice to kill our children to get away with it. Because as a man, you make the child. If you wanted to kill the baby, you would go to jail. You don't have a right to decide whether or not your child lives. Neither should a woman. Even in the instance of rape, let's just talk about it because I've been raped before. I have a 27-year-old daughter that's a lawyer, still deciding to choose life because at the end of the day, that child is still partly mine. Now, if you can't kill the person who raped you, why are we killing the child? And in addition to that, rape is only 1% of abortions. So the argument that's on the floor right now about abortion is the Democrats wanting to fund it. It's not necessarily taking away a woman's right, which I don't believe any woman should want to right. Because here's the thing, you taking away someone else's right to live.
Well, I'm definitely pro-choice, and I highly disagree.
I'm pro-choice, and one of the reasons I'll say that is because I think history has proven that when abortion was illegal, women were still having abortions and they were doing them in very unsafe ways and dying from them. So that will still continue to go on. And then the only people who had access were people who could pay for private physicians so that they were able to travel, go get that done, pay a large sum of money. So that actually endangered our people who were living in poverty because they couldn't afford to go to a private doctor.
Let me tell you something. A baby dies every time in an abortion. Every time a woman has an abortion, a baby dies. You can't say Black Lives Matter and don't include the Black lives that are in the womb. Now, when you're talking about healthcare,
is it a fetus or a baby?
Let's talk about it. Look up the definition of a fetus. A fetus is a human baby. Now, when you're talking about healthcare and in the Black community, we need to remember the Negro Project and Title X funds. When you go research the history of Planned Parenthood, the founder, Margaret Sanger, was a racist. The Negro Project was about them implementing birth controls into our population, into our communities to keep us from populating, to keep us from reproducing. Now, the thing of it is, when you guys say you're pro-choice, you have to think about this, the word and the trick. Why is it pro-life and then pro-choice? Because the opposite of life is death. The choice is death. So what we have to decide now is when we are voting is, are you going to vote for your children, your future children to die or your future children to live? Why not give them access to, it's a choice. What's the choice though?
Life or death.
Okay, so why would a mother choose death for her child? Everybody that's here, even all of us on this live, we got here because our mamas got pregnant. At the end of the day, it's somebody's life. So how is it that everybody that's advocating for abortion has never been aborted? How are you going against someone else's right to live? Because if you understand lifespan development, you know that we all go from being an embryo to a fetus, to an infant, to a toddler, to a child, to a teenager. It's a life. So when you guys say Black Lives Matter,
Context matters, though. If a woman got raped, and I understand you say it's less than 1%, but if a woman got raped, I wouldn't expect her to carry that child.
Okay, so let's just say that's fair, and that's the decision for it. If they say, okay, we're gonna make this exception. If a woman is raped, let her make that decision. We still ended somebody else's life that didn't commit the rape. Let's remember that. But what about the other 99%? What about the fact that every time you see an advertisement for Planned Parenthood, it's targeting Black women? What about the fact that 46% of our population has been aborted since 1974 when Roe v. Wade was passed? So when we're talking about the Black vote and how we are the minority, why are we not waking up and realizing that we are not only killing our own army, but also aborting our votes? So what I would like to do as a congressman, because I promise you, everybody is voting for our children to die on the Democrat side. I would love to bring balance. I would love to give opportunity to women, because look, you can't tell me that the only way I can survive or be successful is by having an abortion when I'm a woman that came home from prison and raised 4 kids on my own, which are all a blessing. So if we want them to value our lives, then we need to begin to value the lives of our offspring. My one vote on the floor, the only thing it's gonna do is bring balance, because at the end of the day, I wanna save Black life.
I still believe in a woman's right to choose what to do with her body and her reproduction. And I
still
believe as
because you
it is her body.
Don't have the same body, but you and your mother don't have the same body. It's not her body. So again,
it's inside of her body.
It's a baby inside of her body. It's still
an embryo.
Baby. So if you can live with,
I still feel that as history has shown, women are still going to have abortions, whether or not it's illegal, and it's a very dangerous practice.
So that's an excuse to support a racist organization that has wiped out half of our race.
We would rather to support what?
Is that an excuse to support a racist organization that has wiped out half of the Black race?
Planned Parenthood doesn't only provide, Planned Parenthood doesn't only provide abortions for people.
Let me tell you about
they do. They do a lot more work than that as well.
So does every other OBGYN. We don't need Planned Parenthood to provide those services. We can go to any health clinic and get those services. Not only that, Planned Parenthood was just offered $60 million from our federal government for those funds. To take care of those other programs. They walked away from it because the stipulation was that they couldn't use those funds to perform abortion. Now, that is no excuse for us to say we are going to support, and it's documented that this is a racist organization.
Because you believe that doesn't make it that other women have to believe that. You can believe that you're against abortion, and that's fine. You can be against abortion, but you can't make another woman do what she wants to do with her body.
I don't think she's trying to make them.
Why does the Democrat Party have to pay for it? Why do us as pro-lifers, people that believe in life and want your children to live, your future children to live, why do our tax dollars have to pay for those children to be slaughtered? Because not only are they murdered and dismembered in the womb, but then their body parts are sold and some of them are harvested. So what they're voting for on the floor now is funding it. I don't want to support a party that wants to pay for Black life to be exterminated. I do not support the Democrat Party. If you can't give Black women another option besides abortion, and if every time we come up as a Black people, as a community on the floor, the only thing we're being offered is free access to abortion, then that tells me you don't really care about Black life. So
you think that's the only option that's being offered? That's not the only option that's being offered.
So tell me what else
people have options.
News.
People have options. They can choose that. They can choose to put a baby up for adoption. They can choose to. They can do whatever they want. And if they choose to have an abortion,
why do you feel like people who don't believe in killing babies should have to pay for it with tax dollars? If you want to abort your child, why do I have to pay for it?
I don't feel like. Well, first of all, I don't think that what you're paying is just for abortions when you pay for services from a clinic. That's not all that they do. That's a small percentage of it.
Them turning away the $60 million in federal funding for those programs. So what I'm saying is what they're asking for is to fund abortion. What we're saying is we don't want to pay for it. Agree with. We need to have a conversation on record. Because y'all gonna have to use y'all platform to stop letting these people encourage us that abortion is health care and telling us to go kill our offspring, y'all. This is all I want to end with. We can never become the majority as long as we abort our children. If we are tired of being the oppressed minority, we need to rethink abortion. And when it comes to valuing Black life, that's just where I'm at. We can have an off-record conversation. I love to give y'all some facts.
I'll always be for our women's right to choose.
We need to address this.
Women's right to choose. Thank you very much. How can they follow you if they want to?
So you guys, Stanton King for Congress is the website. Definitely please visit, look at the policies, look at what it is that I'm fighting for. And on Instagram, I'm the Angela Stanton. Twitter, the Angie Stanton. You guys, thank you so much for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it.
And you have
Thank
a
you,
blessed day,
Angela.
sister.
And you wear a
You too.
mask at
Bye-bye.
that Klan rally this weekend in Tulsa.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know I ain't going to
Don't
no
wait.
Klan rally, man. Listen.
I'm talking about that.
Black
I'm talking about that Trump
I'm saying
event.
I stand. Listen, man, we support the president and his policies. I ain't gonna tell y'all again, President Trump been doing stuff for black people. He got a long history of giving to the black community. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna apologize for going to this man with issues to advance the black community and him being willing to listen and act. I'm just not gonna apologize for it. The people in prison didn't want to wait 4 years for y'all to get another president. And they definitely not gonna want to wait for more. Because Joe Biden's gonna lose.
Angela, have a great one. Thank you so much.